They say they want more, but they're still living like the version of themselves that settled for less. They talk about wanting to fly, but they keep building nests. You can't soar while you're still holding on to the branch you've been sitting on for years. You've got to cut the rope, burn the bridge, delete the fire. And you got to do it intentionally. The old you won't just fade away quietly. They'll fight to stay alive. That's why you can't just talk about change. You've got to create systems that make it impossible to go back. If the old you love to waste hours scrolling, delete the app. If the old you hung out with people who drained your energy, change your circle. If the old you avoided responsibility, start holding yourself accountable daily. You can't just wish for a transformation. You have to make it impossible for the old self to survive in your new environment. And here's the truth. When you kill off that old self, it's going to feel like a part of you is dying. And because it is, there's grief and growth. You'll have moments where you miss the comfort of who you used to be. You'll have moments where you second guess yourself, where you wonder if the fight is worth it. But I promise you this, the pain of letting go is nothing compared to the pain of staying the same. So right now you got a choice to make. You can keep dragging the corpse of the old you through every opportunity, every dream, every relationship, or you can bury them today and start walking free. You can keep explaining why you're not where you want to be, or you can become the person who doesn't need excuses. You can keep living in the shadow of who you were, or you can step into the light of who you're meant to become. It's your move. The old you has had enough time. It's time to let them die. Everybody wants transformation until they realize what transformation actually feels like. See, we like the idea of it, the vision of a new life, the thought of being a new person, the highlight reel of success, but we don't talk enough about the process. And the process isn't soft, it's not gentle, it's not convenient. It's violent in the sense that it will disrupt everything you've known. It will tear down the routines you've been hiding inside. It will break apart the comfort zones you've been living in for years. You can't tiptoe into a completely different version of yourself. You've got to be willing to shake the whole thing up. That's the part most people run from. The moment it starts getting uncomfortable, they think something's wrong. Why is this so hard? Why does it feel like everything is falling apart? It's because everything old has to be dismantled before the new can be built. You can't put new paint on a rotten wall and expect it to last. You've got to strip it down, remove what's decayed, and rebuild it from the studs. And that rebuilding process, it's messy, it's loud, it's uncomfortable. But that's the price of change. The truth is, comfort has never produced greatness. Comfort is easy, it's predictable, it's safe, but it keeps you exactly where you are. And the crazy thing is, some of you are miserable in your comfort zone, but you'd rather stay there than go through the pain of leaving it. That's how powerful comfort is. It convinces you to settle for something you don't even like just because it's familiar. But I'm telling you, you can't carry comfort into transformation. You've got to kill it. And I'm not talking about mild discomfort. I'm talking about the kind that makes you want to quit every single day. The kind that makes you question why you even started. The kind that wakes you up early when you want to sleep, keeps you grinding when you want to relax, forces you to face your weaknesses head on instead of avoiding them. That's the pain that changes you. Not the kind you feel once and move on from, the kind you live in until it shapes you into something new. Here's what most people get wrong. They think pain is a sign to stop. No, pain is proof you're in the right place. Pain is the alarm clock telling you you've stepped into new territory. If you feel nothing means you're not growing. And you can't cheat this part. You can't pray it away. You can't shortcut it. You can't outsource it. The discomfort is yours. The grind is yours. The sacrifice is yours. And the sooner you embrace it instead of fighting it, the faster you'll grow. I've seen people start chasing a dream with fire in their eyes, but the moment they have to give something up, sleep, friends, parties, comfort, food, they start hesitating. They want the transformation, but they still want to keep the pieces of their old life that made them comfortable. It doesn't work like that. You can't plant a new garden without clearing the weeds. You can't keep both versions of yourself alive. One has to die so the other can live, and the dying part is never painless. Think about a caterpillar. It doesn't just wake up as a butterfly one day. It goes into a cocoon where it literally breaks down into a different form. That process isn't peaceful. It's a complete destruction of the old structure. The body it once knew dissolves, the identity it had disappeared, and something completely new is built in its place. But here's the thing, the caterpillar doesn't fight the process, it surrenders to it. And that's exactly what you gotta do. The pain you're feeling is not punishment, it's preparation. Every late night, every early morning, every moment of doubt is building something in you that comfort never could. The struggle is chiseling away the weakness. The exhaustion is carving out your endurance. The failure is teaching you resilience. But you'll never see the beauty of the transformation if you keep running back to comfort every time the heat gets turned up. Let's be real. Some of you have been here before. You started changing, but the moment it got hard, you went back. You convinced yourself it's not worth it. Maybe I'll try again later. And every time you do that, you strengthen the grip of your comfort zone. You train yourself to retreat instead of advance. And then you wonder why nothing in your life changes. It's because every time the old you starts dying, you keep performing CPR on it. If you want the new you to rise, you've got to stop resuscitating the old you. That means you've got to stay in the fire long enough for the change to take root. You've got to endure the awkwardness, the loneliness, the uncertainty, the self-doubt. You've got to push through the days when nothing seems to be working. When you feel like you're making sacrifices with no reward in sight. Because here's the secret. Those are the exact days when the breakthrough is being built behind the scenes. You've got to start associating discomfort with progress. When it gets hard, you got to say, this means I'm growing. When it gets lonely, you got to say, perfect. This means I'm separating from the old me. When it gets exhausting, you've got to say, this is the cost, and I'm willing to pay it. That mindset shift will carry you through the moments where most people quit. And I'm going to warn you, it's not just the physical grind that's painful, it's the mental battle. The voice in your head that says you're not good enough, the temptation to compare your journey to someone else's, the frustration of not seeing results fast enough. That's the pain that breaks most people because they think if it was meant to be, it would be easier. No, it's meant to be. And that's why it's hard. Because if it were easy, everybody would have it. When you finally come out on the other side of that discomfort, you won't just be proud of what you accomplished. You'll be unrecognizable compared to who you used to be. You'll stand taller. You'll think differently. You'll move with confidence. And it won't be because the pain disappeared. It'll be because you learned how to carry it, how to use it, how to let it shape you into something greater. So if you're in the middle of that fire right now, don't run. Don't beg for it to end too soon. Stay there until it does its work. Let it strip away the comfort. Let it kill the version of you that can't survive in the life you're building. Let it mold you into someone who's too strong to ever go back. Because the truth is, the pain of transformation is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts forever. Once you bury the old you, the work isn't over. That's just the beginning. Killing off the old version of yourself creates space, but it's discipline and relentless action that fill that space with something better. See, too many people think the moment they make the decision to change, everything automatically shifts. No, decision is step one. The real transformation comes from what you do after the decision, every single day, whether you feel like it or not. You can't build the new you with the same lazy patterns that destroyed the old you. You can't put your future on the back of sporadic effort and call it progress. Discipline is the foundation, and it's not glamorous. It's repetitive, it's demanding, it's unshakable. It means showing up on the days when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, when it's just you and the grind. The new you doesn't get built in the big moments. It gets built in the small ones and the choices you make when no one's around to see them. Let me make it plain. Your future isn't determined by what you do once in a while. It's determined by what you do consistently. And consistency isn't about waiting for motivation to show up. Motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Discipline is the landlord. It owns the house. When you rely on motivation, you work when it's easy. When you're driven by discipline, you work when it's hard, when you're tired, when the results aren't immediate. That's the difference between people who dream of change and people who live in it. You've got to build a system that makes success inevitable. That means structuring your day so that your actions align with the version of yourself you're trying to become. If the new you is disciplined, then discipline has to be in your schedule, in your habits, in your routines. You can't just say, I want to be stronger and hope it happens. You've got to put the gym in your calendar and go even when it's raining, even when you're sore, even when your bed feels like the most inviting place on earth. And you've got to be intentional about every single choice you make. Ask yourself daily, does this action feed the new me or does it feed the old me? Every choice is a vote, and the version of you that gets the most votes is the one that wins. If you choose to sleep in instead of get up early to work on your goals, that's a vote for the old you. If you choose to scroll for hours instead of studying, that's a vote for the old you. You can't keep voting for the old you and expect the new you to win the election. You've also got to be relentless. Means you don't stop at the first obstacle. You don't quit because it's inconvenient. You don't get distracted because something shiny comes along. Relentless means you've made a decision and now everything else bends to that decision. It's not about being perfect. It's about refusing to stop. It's about having tunnel vision for the version of yourself you're building. And let me be real with you. It's not going to be fun all the time. In fact, most of the time it won't be. There will be mornings you hate the alarm clock, workouts that feel pointless, late nights where you're exhausted but still working. There will be seasons where you don't see results for weeks, maybe months. But that's exactly why most people never become who they're capable of being. They can't handle the grind without the immediate reward. The new you is built in those seasons where the only thing keeping you going is the promise you made to yourself. Think about construction. When you're building a skyscraper, most of the work in the beginning is underground. Nobody sees it. Nobody celebrates it, but it's the foundation that determines how high the building can go. That's you right now. The discipline, the habits, the consistent action, they're the underground work. They don't get likes. They don't get applause, but they're the reason you won't collapse when the weight of success shows up. And here's the thing. When you operate with discipline, it changes how you see yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you do, you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you move differently. You stop questioning if you can do something because you've proven over and over that you keep your word to yourself. That's the kind of confidence that can't be faked. But if you break that trust, if you say you'll do something and you don't, you're telling yourself that your word means nothing. And once you stop believing in yourself, it's over. That's why you've got to guard your commitments like your life depends on. Your life depends on them. Because in a way it does. The life you're building depends on them. You've also got to accept that this is forever. Discipline isn't something you do for a few weeks until you arrive. There is no arrival. There's only building and maintaining. You don't get to the new you and then go back to old habits. That's how you end up losing everything you worked for. The same discipline it takes to get there is the same discipline it takes to stay there. And when you're relentless long enough, something shifts. The work that felt like a burden becomes part of who you are. The habits that felt forced become automatic. The grind that used to drain you becomes the thing that fuels you. That's when you know the new you is here to stay. When the discipline is no longer something you have to think about. It's just part of your DNA. So understand this. Building the new you isn't about big moments of inspiration. It's about small daily acts of discipline. It's about stacking enough wins that quitting becomes unthinkable. It's about moving with relentless focus toward the person you've decided to be, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how quiet the progress feels. Because when you show up every single day with discipline and relentless action, the new you doesn't just appear, it becomes unstoppable. When you finally do the work, when you've killed the old, you push through the pain and built the new you with discipline and relentless action, the mission doesn't end. It actually gets more serious. Because the hardest part isn't always the building, it's the protecting. See, the world has a way of trying to pull you back into the old patterns, the old environments, the old identity you fought so hard to leave behind. And if you're not intentional, you'll wake up one day realizing you slipped right back into the person you swore you'd never be. The new you is fragile at first. Think about it like a seedling. You planted it, it's growing, but it's still small. If you expose it to the wrong conditions too soon, it dies. That's your new identity right now. You've got to protect it from the things that can kill it before it gets strong enough to stand on its own. That means watching who you spend time with, what you listen to, what you watch, where you go, and what you give your energy to. Because every influence is either watering the new you or poisoning it. The tricky part is to pull back to the old self often comes disguised as familiarity, old friends, old habits, old environments. They all feel comfortable because they're what you've always known. But here's the truth. Comfort is the enemy now. That comfort will drag you right back to the level you fought to escape. The same people who smiled when you were struggling might feel uncomfortable when you start winning. Not because they hate you, but because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. Some will try to downplay your progress. Others will make you feel guilty for changing. And some will even try to tempt you back into the habits you left behind. You've got to decide if you're going to live for their approval or your purpose. You can't have both. Every time you compromise just to make someone else comfortable, you're feeding the old you and starving the new one. And here's the thing. You can love people from a distance. Protecting your growth doesn't mean you hate them. It means you've recognized that not everyone belongs in every season of your life. Some people were meant for the chapter you closed, not the one you're writing now. And it's not just about people. It's about the environment you allow yourself into. If you know certain places trigger the old habits, don't go there. If you know certain situations bring out the old you, avoid them until you're strong enough to face them without slipping. You can't keep walking into the lion's den and then act surprised when you get bitten. Protecting the new you means being strategic with where you put yourself and what you expose yourself to. The mental battle is even bigger. The voice of the old you doesn't disappear overnight. It'll whisper in your head when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're tempted. It'll tell you one day off won't hurt, or you've done enough. You can relax now, or you're still the same deep down. That voice is dangerous because it sounds like you. But you've got to remember, it's the echo of who you used to be, not the truth of who you are now. Protecting the new you means recognizing that voice and shutting it down before it grows louder. And let's talk about habits. You can't afford to get sloppy now. The same discipline and consistency that built the new you is the same discipline and consistency that will keep it alive. The moment you think, I've made it, I can relax, is the moment you start to slow slide back to the old you. Success is never owned, it's rented, and rent is due every single day. You can't pay that rent with yesterday's work. It's also about protecting your energy. Not every fight is yours to fight. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every problem needs your involvement. The old you might have been reactive, jumping into every distraction, getting caught up in drama, letting people pull you into their chaos. The new you has to be selective. Your focus is your shield, and the moment you give it away carelessly, you leave yourself open to attack. Protecting the new you will require sacrifices. You might have to leave behind places you love, people you care about, and routines that once felt like home. You might have to be misunderstood. You might have to hear people say you've changed like it's an insult, when in reality, it's the highest compliment. Because yes, you have changed. You work too hard not to. And the people who truly want the best for you will support the change, even if it means they don't get the same version of you anymore. Understand this, the new you is not a costume you wear when it's convenient. It's not something you switch on in public and turn off in private. It's who you are now, and that means protecting it is a full-time job. The decisions you make when no one's watching matter just as much as the ones you make in front of the crowd. Every choice is either reinforcing the new identity or weakening it. And I'll be real, protecting the new you can feel lonely sometimes. Because the further you go, the fewer people will truly understand the grind, the sacrifices, the mindset it takes to maintain it. But that's okay, loneliness and growth is temporary. What's permanent is the strength, the freedom, and the self-respect you build when you refuse to let yourself go backward. This is the part most people don't prepare for. They think the fight is over once they change. No, the fight changes. It shifts from building to defending, from pushing forward to holding the ground you've gained. And if you're not vigilant, the old you will creep back in little by little until you wake up realizing you've lost it all. So protect it like it's life or death, because it is. The life you want depends on it, The future you've been fighting for depends on it. The person you've worked so hard to become depends on it. And if you ever have to choose between protecting your new self and making someone else comfortable, choose yourself every single time. Because once the new you rises, there's no going back.